Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos, doggone it.
Doggone it indeed.
My name is John Fahey. Joining me as ever, a gorgeous slab of a man, Mr. Aaron Joseph Peter.
That is me.
That is your name.
I am he.
Yes.
I am the one who knocks.
Yes.
Wait,
you
really?
are the ones who are...
I am the one who is the ball lickers.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll make you eat our shit and shit that out, and then make you eat the shit that was originally made of our shit.
That's right.
Yes, of course.
Or
recycling.
Piss. Or piss.
And to your right, my left, Mr. Matt Brousseau, a
Hi.
handsome young
Hi.
swine.
Oh, wow. You know, you could be, if I ate a baby in France, they would, even if I was a swine, they would take me to court.
Yeah.
Are you a swine who was eating an infant human? You have rights.
Are you a hungry hog?
Are you a hungry
Hungry.
I guess we have a little thing we want to share on the Patreon. If you donate even as little as $1 a month to the program, you do get an ad-free version.
Yeah.
Now that our free version is big time in with ads and splendor. and
Yeah,
shit.
you don't have to hear that broad talking about Pampers.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of our friend Andras, he was like, "Wow, they had a diaper commercial before your show."
Oh yeah, they know
he,
what's up.
He was very excited about
Shout out to Andras.
Yeah, shout out to Andras.
Radio 8 Ball.
Yeah. Do you think that was targeted? Do you think the advertisers were like,
They say piss a lot.
nobody?
say piss.
Yeah. Do you think that's real? Do you think that's real?
I don't think it is. But I
What,
hope.
piss is real.
Oh,
That'd
no,
be-
sorry.
yeah.
Well, Aaron,
Yeah.
that's another episode for me.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Piss is, yeah.
Who's
Piss?
to say? Yeah, they're making bricks out of it. Did you see that one person sent us that thing? Somebody sent us a thing on Instagram of a scientist is making bricks out of pee.
Yeah, I said it in the episode.
Oh yeah.
You
Well,
did,
they sent it to us on Instagram the same day that guy made the video about the piss.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shout out to
Also,
to the guy. What's his name? Hard something.
It's
we got to give him.
Skippy Vonnegut is his name on.
Oh, really?
It's not his handle, but it's his listed name on Instagram. But yeah, he made a badass little.
Hack Dead.
Yeah.
Hacked
That's a very good- that's a
dot
very good
SD on Instagram. Made a wonderful fan promo.
That was super cool.
Oh, where he drinks his own piss.
Yeah,
Oh, fantastic.
yeah, and it's
Great.
a real sloppy operation.
Oh,
Oh,
it's a
it's all-
scatter
nice.
shot with
Yeah.
the piss.
yeah.
Wonderful.
Really, every time
Not
he says
circumcised.
he's peeing, and he says, "I'm gonna drink the fuck out of this piss." I laughed so hard.
God, isn't that wonderful?
That was really fucking dope.
It was.
That was super cool, very flattering.
If you, we, greatly encourage any sort of fan content.
Oh yeah, if you could send us art or whatever you want to do, like do your thing, and
we'll
we will
repost it.
We'll always repost it if you want us to.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely follow the Instagram for a lot more of
Yeah.
info and context of all the shit we talk about on the show.
Yeah.
Another thing a fan sent us was this thing that you want to talk about, Aaron.
Yeah, you know how this is a show about weirdos, doggone it.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know how I always talk about when I see, it happened today actually. I saw this girl on my street walking a Great Dane. I was like, oh, dude, that chick fucks her dog.
Every time you say it to me, I'm like, Jesus Christ!
I can't help it. It's funny to me.
It
and
always shocks me. It always
I don't know why.
I don't know.
You gotta.
I should know it's coming by now. But
You should be having that thought.
Yeah, why aren't you thinking?
Yeah,
No, because I'm a normal human
because
being.
you haven't been what they
sure.
call dog pilled.
Ah.
So shout out to Instagram user Sammy Rusev, who before the Bodil Joensen
Yes.
media episode came out,
Yeah.
where, we talk about her fucking boars and
Every conceivable animal.
every conceivable animal.
Yeah.
Sammy sent this article, just wonderful synchronicity,
Mm-hmm.
about dog pilling. So dog pilling is it's an offshoot of red pilling,
Yeah.
which is
We just watched The Matrix together.
We just saw The Matrix at the New Beverly.
Me and Aaron, total nerds, sitting separately in an overly packed theater watching The Matrix together.
And I was eating Mike and Ike's red ones.
Oh, just wait, the hot tamales then.
Well, I
No,
I was eating Mike and Ike's, and then there were a number of colors, and one of them was red.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Any
Okay.
dog colors?
Well, like a red Christmas tree light.
You guys didn't sit together? Was there not enough seats, or you chose?
There was
to...
you couldn't. There was no two
Right.
seats left
Yeah.
together. It was that packed.
I got there a bit late, and it was packed.
$6 tickets to see The Matrix.
There was a standby line outside.
Yeah, there's a standby line, and it was.
And I just walked right in, and I said, "I am the one," and then they let me in. I sat in a handicap seat.
Yeah.
So dog pilling. So red pilling is in The Matrix. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, you see how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Yeah.
Blue pill is, you eat steaks with the agents, and
Yeah,
you're somebody important like an actor.
Yeah.
So dog pilling, the online theory that women are rejecting men to have sex with dogs. You see how I'm right?
Right. Yeah,
That's
but
right,
I mean, I don't like to think of you as an incel, so this
No,
this really bothers me.
I'm a volcel. I'm voluntary celibate.
Ah.
No, but see, I mean, you haven't established in that talk with John in those moments that they're rejecting you. You're just saying, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying they're having sex with dogs.
Oh,
They're
right.
not Listen, women are not rejecting me to fuck dogs.
Absolutely not.
They're fucking dogs after they're disappointed with having sex with me.
That's the spirit.
And I don't blame them.
The
Dogs are loyal.
This guy sending his thing, it was like one of those things where I was like, this is really cool to find out about, but man, this is like an emerging generation of people, this incel community, and man, it's really terrifying. Like, just get the fuck out of your house, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just go talk to a girl and be nice to her.
Don't be 22.
Have
I
you
don't
tried
know.
being charming?
Yeah, just be nice.
Yeah.
Just go be nice. Like,
Quote, men should not allow dogs into their house, one user wrote. This is on like 4chan and Reddit. So a lot of these incels, they're going into their own.
they're threatened by the dog now.
Yes, man's
imagine,
best friend.
yeah. Was the man, then it was the woman, now it's the dog.
Yeah, there's a fucking dachshund sauntering in,
Yeah.
barely understands its own body. and
Dogs
this guy's
are naturally
threatened.
gifted at licking nether regions.
No,
I
they're
wish I
not.
was joking, wrote one user. With women that have dogs,
I
just
wish
check how.
I wish I was joking. I know.
Oh.
Listen,
I've had my nether regions. Like,
why, oh, why didn't I take the non-dog pill?
why didn't I take the cat pill?
Oh, the blue pill's Viagra. So
right.
that was the issue.
With women that have dogs, just check how often they have male dogs. It's not a coincidence,
I mean,
says another user. The theory is it's a widespread internet idea that women have sex with dogs more than they do with men.
widespread.
Well, the internet is all over the place, and anywhere
Oh,
the
yeah.
internet is,
A lot of
it's
people are
there.
saying.
A lot of people
are saying.
So they support their theory because, quote, there are more internet forum threads with women describing sexual attraction to their own dogs than there are websites with women describing their attraction towards male virgins.
The specificity of that.
The numbers don't lie.
Well,
Yeah.
And there couldn't be any other reason other than they're fucking their dogs
Yeah.
more than
Right.
us.
Yeah, because male virgins aren't a fucking coveted group to fuck. Get real.
I'd rather fuck a dog than a male virgin.
I've fucked both, and I got to tell you, a dog better.
So apparently there's a whole online movement called MGTOWs, men going their own way. So this...
Guess what way it is.
Wait, have they never gone their own way before?
Yeah.
Has this been an
How
issue with men?
How about just go away?
Yeah, go the fuck away.
Oh, God.
You know what we gotta start doing is going our own way. Because these girls
Too
are fucking
long.
dogs. They don't want to fuck my virgin ass. So we're gonna go on a journey together.
Fuck some virgin.
Wait,
And-
are they going to fuck each other? Is that what it is?
No, they're just saying that they need to not fuck.
Why don't they just fuck each other?
Isn't that the worst? They're like acting like it's a protest.
Well, it's like they never got into police academy, and they're like, you know what? I don't even want to be a cop. And you're like, yeah,
Right.
come
right.
on, buddy. This
Yeah.
is your whole life.
God, it's just, it's very, very sad. When women openly value pets over men, it makes sense why so many of them engage in bestiality. No. They just don't like you
Right.
Yeah.
because you suck.
Yeah. and you're not going your own way,
And your
because
penis
your
is
whole
not red.
community is about not getting laid by women.
Right. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy with these guys, right?
Yeah. You can't be an incel and angry because I mean the recognition of giving yourself that title is just enough to be like, there's some serious issues in my life. The fact that I've given myself the title of
whether you believe, if you
unfuckable man.
believe you're an incel, well then you're an incel. Like at what point is it?
Yeah. The cage is invisible, pal.
Right.
And you made it.
That's right.
You went your own way, and it was in.
Yeah. Yeah.
The truth is, Neo, you are a slave
To yourself.
You know who's not a slave? My dog.
Even though I have him tied to a leash. Other posts argue that the dog. Oh God. Okay, here. One post on the subreddit MGTOW from February tells the story of a friend Sam who is classified as a quote-unquote solid dude.
Oh my God.
I want that to be my entire obituary.
That's gonna
Solid
be
dude.
on your
Headstone.
tombstone.
Yeah.
Solid dude went his own way. Who walks
Go
in,
your own way.
right into this grave.
who walks in on his girlfriend with her quote Great Dane tied to her with a big puddle of cum and a jar of peanut butter next to her.
It's like hearing Hemingway speak.
Yes.
And there was the puddle was so big.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was everybody. It wasn't even just her or the dogs. There was random cum in there.
And that
There
peanut
was-
butter was empty, bro.
And you know it's facts because he's a solid dude.
Yeah.
He wouldn't lie
dude,
about.
Ever since Sam told me about that shit while he was drunk, it totally changed my perspective of women who interact with dogs.
It's like if you bend down to pet a dog.
Slut.
Yeah.
No morality.
Can't believe it. Huge piles of cum.
Piles of cum.
Yeah.
Wow.
I knew a girl in high school that did that shit. I think a lot of these girls nowadays are fucking their dogs. When a man and a male dog become interchangeable, society's fucked.
Yeah, dude. We're gonna have a dog president one day.
What does that say about you, you dipshit?
Yeah.
That you can be your manhood, your humanhood, your sexuality is threatened by a fucking dog?
Yeah.
That's something's wrong with you.
Yeah. Well, it's two things, right? It's that you have absolutely no self-worth. I mean, self-esteem is like a foreign concept to you. You don't think you're worth anything,
laugh at that.
and
That's
also
Yeah.
you're a massive piece of shit.
Yeah.
And you know who isn't? The
Well,
dog.
the dog.
He's a very good boy.
Yeah, he's a very
good boy.
Well, I think there's only one way to get out of this mess. It's for these kids to start fucking dogs.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Actually, that's probably not the best idea.
I mean,
because the dogs,
listen,
they-
Please go ahead.
Right.
By all means.
Well, yeah. President Spot thinks it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, I guess try the dog vagina fleshlight first, or the dog asshole fleshlight.
They do make.
They make alien.
They make those alien
Yeah,
and
I don't know.
Tentacles.
They make vampire flesh mouths.
It's just a fucking microwaved hot dog, isn't it? Like, what the fuck are they? I don't know if that's the right phrase.
I don't know.
Microwave hot dog is a 3-dog night dick.
Yeah, does it pump when you cook it?
Yeah. Are they really making fleshlights of aliens?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. All
yeah,
sorts of crazy labias and stuff.
Labias.
Labias.
Yeah, they have like butthole. I think there's mouth, and then there's a vagina, of course. Then there's like porn star vagina.
Yeah.
Then there's
Wow.
alien.
They
Yeah.
still all have buttholes.
You know what
That's
I'd
great.
like to see?
Yeah,
I'd like
yeah.
to see a hermaphrodite fleshlight.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a big old dick coming out of that pussy.
Yeah, it's just kind of bumping into you a bunch.
Yeah, where's
What do I do with this?
Wait a minute.
Oh, there's a puddle of cum.
We're playing swords.
So there's also a dick coming out of the flashlight.
Yeah.
The flashlight. Jeff.
Like right at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I gotta bend the
Yeah.
fake dick back so I can fuck its pussy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that weird?
No asshole.
No, no.
Or asshole. Both.
yeah.
Why not? I don't care.
All
Yeah,
of it.
really.
Well, you've already got a dick and a pussy there. Why not throw in a butthole, right?
Yeah. Hey, why not? Why not a cluck light?
You're gonna
like,
have
like a cloaca.
It's too
Well,
much
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
to put at the end of a flash. You're not gonna have to make like a flesh lantern. Like,
in
The
brightest
newest
day,
superhero.
in darkest night. Let those who worship evil's might beware.
the flesh.
My
lantern.
glory,
Yeah.
flesh lantern's light.
Yeah.
So what's that?
Penis, vagina, butthole.
What's that ring for? Oh,
Because
I'm the flesh lantern.
It's powered off my willpower.
I mean,
it
is-
keeps my cock hard.
Wasn't his name Hal Johnson?
Jordan. Hal Johnson.
Hal Johnson.
That's Hal Johansson. Let's see. I'll leave it. I guess I kind of want to leave it there. It doesn't really
Aaron,
get,
go your own way.
It doesn't. It doesn't really get much better than.
Yeah, it's just guys' accounts of things they heard one time.
Oh, but Sam's a solid dude.
Super solid.
They tie some, they connect some dots between the men's rights movement and incels and the pickup artist movement of the 2000s.
Yeah.
I think there's a little interesting psychology to go along with it. I don't recommend becoming one of these guys.
No, absolutely not.
Get some self-respect, lift some weights.
Just be nice.
Yeah,
just go
be
nice.
Get outside of the house.
Get out of the house.
Have an eye-to-eye conversation with a human being.
Right.
And this is why I think prostitution should be legal, because you gotta, and this is one reason why. So these poor women don't have to fuck dogs, and these men don't have to be incels.
Right. Also,
and
I think that if you had like an interaction with a prostitute, it would be really good, just for guys that need to understand that women aren't fucking aliens.
Yeah.
Right.
They're fucking dogs. Well, they might be fucking aliens. It's a whole other movement.
Right. Well, they're in. The aliens are actually invading through.
It's called
flashlights.
I think they're called. It's called crop piling.
Yeah. I love those like, this forum of women are telling all these stories. When I was 12, I went on one of those like you write sex stuff to each other forums.
Oh, cyber.
Yeah,
you
it was
were
cyber, right?
cybering.
Yeah, I was like, I think I
Nice.
was like 12, yeah. And I didn't know what to do. And so I had been through a couple where someone just described everything they would do to me. And I assumed they were a woman, but obviously, in retrospect, probably not. Because that wouldn't make any sense.
Probably a dog.
And so I was like, yeah, it was a dog. It was a dog typing.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to this one, and they're like, what are you going to do to me? And I was fucking 12. I was like, I'll take your clothes off and have sex with you.
Yeah.
And they were
How's
like,
that?
my boyfriend's home, I have to go. And I was like, oh, wait a minute.
You were so bad at cybering that you turned off that fake woman.
Yeah, exactly.
You turned that guy off.
Yeah, exactly. He was
Man.
like, damn.
You poor man.
Shit.
Oh man, I definitely did that when I was like in high school and college. I definitely talked to some dudes
Yeah.
pretending to be women.
Cybered it up.
Wow,
yeah.
how was it?
Great.
Nice.
I don't care. I'm progressive, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Matrix is real to some people.
Hey, how do I know
Yeah.
that what tastes like chicken might be tuna fish?
Yeah.
And-
Chicken on the sea.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and everything tastes like chicken.
So I want to say about this shit that me and Matt covered a little bit on the Patreon episode. We did Chopped Up Jukebox that hasn't been released yet, but there was this thing in the the late '60s where the Zombies, the band the Zombies,
No.
Time of the Season. It's the time
Of the season
Yeah.
for love. Well, I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah. But they also had something like She's Not There.
Yeah.
And
I know the Zombies, yes.
so they
I'm cultured.
had this album come out, and it just didn't really do well. And the first single didn't really do well, and the second single didn't really do well. And like the name was like misspelled on the cover. They didn't even fix it. And they're a British band. And then they put out like a third single desperately, but the band had already broken up in the UK, and they like got like odd jobs and solo careers and stuff like that.
Odd job.
Yeah.
Like Goldeneye?
Yeah. Power Weapons Complex. And
RCP-90.
yeah, and the
One shot kills.
the third single is Time of the Season, and then it goes to number 3 on the charts, and suddenly there's this demand for the Zombies, to be a touring band, but they're not, and they don't even know that the single is blowing up in America, because that was a possibility in that time.
Right.
You would be like, oh, we didn't fucking know a record took off here, and there's all kinds of chicanery going on in the industry, and
Chicanery.
Yeah. Chicanery.
Shitcanery.
And
Very good word.
nefariousness.
Yes,
Ooh,
yeah,
wow,
shenanigans,
yes,
all sorts
yeah.
of gobbledygook.
Tomfoolery.
So there's this promotion called Delta, and they're like
Like a promotion company?
yeah, and they're like, we're gonna put together fucking American Zombies, and they go to a bunch of guys in Texas, and they're like, they like teach them to play the songs,
Yes.
and they start touring them in America.
Now, this is a phenomenon that's happened with a number of other bands, right?
This is I had never heard about this happening, but the fake zombies were like a touring band.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing about the Texas Zombies is that 2 of them ended up being founding members of ZZ Top.
The fake zombies became ZZ Top?
Yes. Yeah. And
what are the Z's stand
they're
for?
in like promotional videos with cowboy hats and stuff, but the fucking zombies are English.
Yeah.
Like they would never wear cowboy hats, you know?
No.
And it gets to this point where it's like the promoter is like, well, you know what the thing is about having fake zombies is why can't you have another one?
Why can't you have 4 bands touring at the same time?
So he gets another Michigan band called the Excels, gets them to learn all the Zombies songs.
Yeah.
And like they're doing the East Coast while the Texas Zombies are doing the West Coast.
I feel like you've told me about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is I read all about it again, and this guy from Delta Promotions, who, by the way, is like, I got ripped off by all these bands. They trashed my bus. It's like,
they trashed your bus?
The fake bands?
You are the biggest scammer of all.
They trashed. He didn't have a bus. Delta Promotions had a bus.
Yeah, and so Delta Promotions also had a fake animals.
Fantastic.
The animals.
Yeah.
What do they call them? Animal?
They were the animals, and they would show
The Animals did
House of the Rising Sun.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was
and-
not the Rolling Stones.
No, but
Everyone thinks
it was
Yeah,
also
Napster.
Dylan before that.
That's great.
And
That's exactly right.
yeah, that's
Exactly
very
right.
good. You know that.
Yeah.
And so the song is like the first recorded version is like 33.
No shit.
Yeah, it's really old.
Yeah,
And the origins of the song they say might go as
Deeper.
as like 17th century. Like that it's that much of a folky ballad that it was a town in England. And
There is a house in Old Orleans.
Right, yeah. And they changed it to New Orleans when, Southerners started playing it. But anyway, that's a whole thing in
I would
itself.
love to hear about that.
Yeah, there was, that guy was going to do a version, Van Ronk.
Oh, Dave Van Ronk.
And then Dylan was like, hey, man, I got my debut record coming up. Do you mind if I do your version? And he was doing like a bluesier half-step bass thing that wasn't typical in folk music.
Dubstep?
And he was like, do you mind if I do your version of House of the Rising Sun? And he's like, no, man, I'm recording my album in a couple of weeks. Can you hold off? And he goes, uh-oh.
Yeah.
He's like, he already recorded it.
Yeah, I can see that.
And when he tells the story, he's like, then fucking Dylan came slouching in. You're like, all right, I know where this is going. Nowhere good. So the fake animals are also touring. And one of the real animals is at a show and has a baseball bat and like a bunch of bikers with him.
Jesus Christ.
So he's going after the fake.
So he planned this. He doesn't always show up to places like that.
Well, if the animals are playing, you gotta go. You're in it, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, fuck, I forgot we had this.
So there's a fake animals. There's 2 fake zombies on tour, and then the thing that actually gets him in trouble is he makes fake Archies.
Comics?
No, the band.
I'm
Sugar
not-
Sugar. But
But
do you know what the fucking Archies are? The Archies are a fake band based on the Archie comics.
Oh, okay.
And the entity that owns them has created a band that is actually made up of members of Blueberry Jam. And they're the ones that really play on the records, but they get pressed as the Archies who don't exist. It's like the Monkees, but
Right.
faker. Faker than the fucking Monkees.
Jesus Christ.
And so that gets him in trouble because it's like, more copyright territory, and that guy's currently making money out of it. So he's like, he's doing a domestic property. It's not some Englishman he's fucking over. And that's what ends up bringing him down, Delta Promotions.
This makes Milli Vanilli look like Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, but it's like also back in the day, like fucking Elvis's manager was keeping like 25 to 50%, they say, of
the Colonel?
everything he did. It was like bananas. It was like a free-for-all back then, You get away with
monkeys.
you get away with
Elvis,
anything.
Colonels.
It's like,
Jesus Christ.
Isn't that fucking insane? So it comes to the point the zombies are like, we have to reform, release a record, because these bad 2 fake zombies, if they play a bad show, they give us a bad name.
Right.
And then our solo careers don't do well. So nobody wants to come see so-and-so from the Zombies because you're like, I saw them last week, they suck.
Yeah.
So they get together to record a 3rd album, and they go to like New York to CBS Records, and they're like, some radio's like, hey, station is like, hey, I heard you guys are playing around here. I want to interview you. And he goes, well, it's not us. It's the fucking fake zombies.
It's the shitty zombies.
Yeah.
Are they any good?
And the radio's guys go, how do I know you're not the fake zombies?
I have a British
So
accent.
it's like gone to this level that the guy
The
is like,
Matrix is everywhere, dude.
yeah, he's like, how do I even know you're actually Chris Hayes? Like maybe you're in the fake zombies, and he's like, so anyway, we just got to get this fucking record out so we can, Isn't that nuts?
It's abnormal.
It's
It's truly eccentric.
It is really wild.
So what happened to these guys?
One of them tells the story in this article, and in this article also they don't really get an interview in person or anything with the ZZ Top guys, but they do acknowledge over internet messaging for the first time ever that they were in the fake zombies, and they're
ZZ Top acknowledged.
yeah, ZZ Top. Those guys were like, yeah,
It was two of the guys, right?
two of the guys.
Okay, so Zombie Top.
I
That's
think
what it was.
you could call
Right.
those bands undercover bands.
Well, the thing is that
That's
Delta,
yes, I like
Delta
that.
was telling them, we bought the rights to the music. And also, the singer killed himself, and two other guys quit.
And also, you're dreaming.
And you're zombie.
And these guys were just getting $200 a night, playing
Zombies are dead.
playing
$200 a night.
$200 a night,
Yeah, 19.
And playing-
That's incredible money.
Oh, okay,
playing
okay.
a show every night.
I'll take it.
Every fucking night they played a show, right? So they were also like, they were grinding, But these are guys that are like, I'm just so happy to have a job playing music. Like,
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what I'm doing, you know. And yeah, they all kind of like laugh about it now and stuff like that. But isn't that fucking crazy?
It's it shows you how compartmentalized the world was back then. Was
Yeah,
it?
Sure, yeah.
It's
You
like
didn't
that-
know you had a hit record in America.
Right. Like,
Time of the season is taken off,
and you don't even.
and you're
know
like
it.
in a vacuum shop.
Well,
Yeah.
like, fuck, I don't want this band anymore. We're not gonna make it.
It's that there's that Ted Bundy documentary that's on Netflix right now. It's like it's multi episode doc, and he at one point he escaped from jail a number of times and
Twice, yeah.
and he just went to another city.
Yeah.
And he got arrested for being a creep there as well, and he just refused to give him his name.
Right.
And there was no intercommunication or collaboration between
The states.
the states and the federal government, and no
Right.
comprehensive database of fingerprints or anything
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
And driver's licenses were typed out on
You
paper.
go Mississippi to Alabama, you might as well have gone to the South Pole.
Or fucking Mars.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so he got arrested and went to court and just was like, I'm not going to tell you who
I have the right to remain silent.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
you
he
could,
would've incriminated
you could
himself
just
by-
do that back then.
Yeah.
It makes you wish,
Yeah. That you could,
Go around
go-
fucking people's dogs, town to town.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, just get a flashlight of the dogs.
Yeah.
Well, it was the 70s. They didn't have the
Oh, yeah,
realistic
right.
new skin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can go around do whatever you want. You fucking fuck a dog.
Fucking
No morality.
dog.
Yeah. Start touring as Maroon 5.
Yes.
Whatever.
Good idea.
Yeah.
3 dog night.
3 dogs
Right.
a night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's-
Have yourself a
Oh,
3
the
dog
band.
day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That 3 dog night, it was probably like Bodil Johansson was probably like, hell yeah.
Yeah. Well,
3 dog night.
what do you think? I'm a marathon runner?
Got my work cut out for me.
3 dog week. Wow, the animals.
The fake zombies. I mean, the
Monkeys.
guy,
Jesus
the
Christ.
guy from the animals with a baseball bat. Can you imagine? Guy from the real animals is here. He has a baseball bat. He's gonna kick the fuck out of us.
I love baseball bats.
That is insane,
Let's just give them kind of the gate.
Yeah, give them a cut.
right?
What you gotta do?
That's all they want.
Yeah, you know how many times I wish I could be in multiple places at the same time?
Yeah.
Go pretend to be me.
You at least gotta watch yourself play a couple of songs.
Yeah.
Really,
Wouldn't that be cool?
Wonder if they're better than us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mutant power.
Yeah.
Well,
So I guess
what do you have, Matt?
well, House of the Rising Sun is it was known by miners in 1905, but it connects to all of these old songs. Lomax had some theories about it. Leadbelly kind of repopularized it.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
And then Guthrie did a version 41. Dylan did a version in 65.
And the first time the lyrics were printed, it was
61.
It was in a column in, I believe, 1925, in a column called "Songs Sung by Old Men."
Are you serious?
Serious.
We haven't done Leadbelly on this show.
No.
I think Rick Wood wants to do Leadbelly. Rick Wood is the comedian musician who does the theme to Profiles in Eccentricity.
That'd be great. Well, we should.
I think he's mentioned that.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Yeah, Leadbelly.
Yeah, he'll have to do the whole
Big
thing.
favorite
with
of Kurt Cobain.
Really?
Massive favorite of Kurt Cobain.
Right next to heroin, huh?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know enough about Leadbelly. I should.
I know enough about heroin.
Yeah.
I think what he said, the blues fall out of him like rain.
Wow.
The blues fell out of him like rain.
Yeah.
Woody also did House of the Rising Sun.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I have not heard that version.
Yeah.
You've probably heard that version, but just not with his voice.
The Animals version is the most popular version.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Of course. I was telling John the other night.
Yeah?
Actually,
What were you
last
telling
night.
John?
I was telling John.
Right after The Matrix?
Well, Woody Guthrie, this machine kills fascists.
Oh, thank you for the shirt.
Yeah, please.
To Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa, for the shirt.
I haven't seen it yet. I
Oh,
know
it's
about
good.
it, but
It's a long sleeve.
It's a long sleeve. Very good.
Yeah.
Wear it when the AC's too high.
Melissa is the one who made John and I the
beach shirts.
The beach shirts.
Yes. Oh, those are.
And she got Matt
so many good shirts. Thank you,
This
Melissa.
Machine Kills Fascists shirt.
Very exciting time.
Yes,
And
it's great.
If you listen to the 2-part Woody Guthrie episode, you know that Woody Guthrie had that sticker on his guitar.
Yeah, it came from war. It was on war ammunition.
That's right.
War machines.
Yeah. War Machine. Shout out to Marvel Comics and Marvel MC. Disney, proud sponsor of the podcast. Avengers Endgame coming out of April 22nd.
In theaters everywhere.
In theaters everywhere. April 25th. See it in IMAX. I want to get that engraved on my gun.
This machine kills fascists.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say your dick.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. Well, I would get that tattooed on my hog. I don't know if I have enough space. I have to use a sans serif font.
Comic Sans for me.
Italics.
I'm more of a wingdings guy.
Oh, very, very nice. Wouldn't that be nice to have it on an actual gun?
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Yeah, well, we had it on like
bombs
ammo
and
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, we had it on like fucking like artillery.
Cool, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Oh, we also had like a textile presses and shit.
Well, also our last Patreon was about comic books, and I just want to tell Matt really quickly that I got a link to Marvel alternate universes, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna start doing this. I'm just gonna start going down the list. And I was like, wait, why? I don't have time for that.
You got all the time in the world.
The first one
you got 15 U's hanging around playing other shows, doing other podcasts.
Yeah, fucking dogs.
At least one.
The first one I come to has a fucking fascist Aryan Professor X from England, and I was just like, what? And I was like, I can't get into this right now. I'm gonna go down too deep a rabbit hole. No. I sent it to you immediately, but I was like, I can't start fucking with this. It's gonna be too much crazy shit.
No, that's.
But I'm sorry, but you have the proper profile of the evening.
Right. No,
they made him actually a Professor Swastika. they just twisted.
Yeah.
Tell us some interesting things, Matt.
All right, this comes from our patron Zabiria. Thank you, Zabiria.
Thank you, Zabiria.
Thank you. We love you.
We got some good Patreon recommendations that we'll be doing. Over the course of time.
Is that right?
As time works, yes.
This one was it was easier for me to do this because when they're really old, there's even less stuff known, so there's less reading for me to do.
Reading is not your strong suit.
Thank you. That means a lot. This is a fascinating character from the 17th century in France.
Oh, 17th century France.
Yes.
That would be the 1600s.
Correct, Aaron. Very good.
That's absolutely right, Aaron.
That's exactly right.
That's very good.
Born in 1670 in Paris, or
Paris.
1673.
Oh.
Who's to say?
Definitely not 1671 or 2.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's right out.
Never ask a woman her age.
No, especially not this one. Her father. Yes.
Because you don't want to know.
No, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely not.
You want to be able to plead ignorance.
Yeah.
Just
Please
freaking,
continue.
Never
ask a woman her age. R. Kelly.
Oh God.
Her father, Gaston.
Gaston?
He was the secretary to the Grand Squire, the Master of Horses, the Royal Master of Horses in France. And the Grand Squire's job was to educate the king's pages, train the king's horses, so her father was the secretary to a very powerful man. No mention of a mother. Her dad was an alcoholic and a gambler and a carouser.
Oh, I love a carouser.
Yeah, but that was also pretty normal for anybody who had any money.
Was he a rabble-rouser?
Or will to party.
Yes, yes. My day,
The will to
secretary.
party. Yes, the will to famous Nazi propaganda piece.
He raised his daughter Julie. Julie, her was her name. Julie Daubigny.
Daubigny?
Daubigny.
Daubigny.
Yes, thank you.
Daubigny.
Julie, D''Aubigny. Daubigny.
Daubigny.
He raised his daughter like a normal page, like a male page.
Mm.
He taught her, he had her learn writing and grammar and dancing and drawing. And by age 12, she became proficient in swordplay. And in fact, she was, out of everybody her age, the boys included, she was the best swordsman.
An Arya Stark of sorts.
Indeed. But because of all of this learning, she didn't spend a lot of time around women. She often dressed as a boy. Something that would suit her for the rest of her life. At 14, she becomes the mistress of her dad's boss.
What?
The Grand Squire in France.
But dressed as a boy.
Either 14 or 15, or if she was born in 1673.
18.
Yikes.
Yikes age. Yeah, well, I guess that's all yikes
Or
age at this
younger.
point. Yeah, so either 11 or 12.
That's very yikes
That's-
years old.
Yes. He was 44 at this time.
But girls mature faster than boys. But
Don't.
if she was a
Don't
boy,
justify it.
but if she
in dog years.
she was damn near 40.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
MILF. DILF? Dog I'd like to fuck.
Nice.
So because of becoming this, in France has a great history of mistresses and so on. Because of this, she's allowed to attend court and go to town and has a certain freedom that she didn't have before. And then 1687, she's 17 or 14, and her father dies. And the count's getting kind of tired of her. Her dad's boss was the Count de Armagnac. And he gets kind of tired of her. And he's getting annoyed, she's so not old.
She's so 16 now.
Yeah.
Christ
What an
almighty.
asshole.
So he arranges for her to marry a man, a clerk named Jean de Maupin.
De Maupin?
Jean
A clerk.
Demaupin. Jean de Maupin.
De Maupin.
Yeah.
In most of the references known as just Sir. Most people say, oh, we don't know his first name, but apparently one of these things had it. And because of the marriage and the way society worked in France, she just became La Maupin.
La Maupin?
And so the Count's like, okay, fine, you're married. He's still sleeping with her, and she's still his mistress. But she keeps annoying him even more. So he arranges for her husband, who was a clerk, to now become the tax collector for the provinces all over the world.
Do we know what's so annoying?
No.
Well, it should probably just being her.
Probably
so.
just being old.
Yeah. Puberty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
finally going through puberty is what got him, what pushed him over the edge.
Super annoying.
I mean, here's somebody, she's learned writing, dancing, grammar, swordplay. She's great at all of the, especially swordplay. And here's a 44-year-old Frenchman who's probably filthy and just like can't do shit.
Yeah.
Definitely smelled like shit.
Yeah, and she's like, I want to have fun, and you're old.
Yeah.
Right.
Not that
Haven't you
44
heard
is old,
the song? Girls just wanna...
Okay, well, that's what I thought, but
Yeah, you never know.
Idiot. Not you. De la Maupin. De la la.
So he arranges for her husband, the Count, for her husband to have a job overseas, and he's like,
So
okay,
she has to
this
go with him.
Yeah, and so she goes, nah, he's not making enough money for me to live the life I want to live.
Yeah, I'm used to this standard of living with you.
Yeah. So she says he can go. I'm gonna stay here though. And then she just kind of like floats around being rich, and there's rumors of her beating up shopkeepers and starting fights. And
Hell yeah. What, do you own a store? I'll kick the fucking shit out of you.
Who does this broad think she is, a nun?
Like beating up
Eventually.
shopkeepers?
Mm-hmm.
How much is this potato? You mother...
Yeah. Do you know who I
I'll
might
tell you how
be?
much it is free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give me your lunch money.
You actually have to pay for this.
Yeah, with the fist.
With a fucking ass beating.
So as she's doing this, though, she's still sword fighting, and she's still learning to sword fight. And so because of sword fighting and dueling is it's like a gun. Instead of gun clubs, they have salle d'armes, which is
Salle
basically room of swords, right?
The
or
first
room
rule
of weapons.
salle d'armes is that you don't talk about salle d'armes.
But they did.
They talked about
Yeah, they tell
They
you.
broke the first 2 rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So she's hanging out at all these salle d'armes. She's getting really good at sword fighting, and she meets this man named Serin. And he's a fencing master, and so she leaves the count to go and just, learn about sword fighting and have sex with this man.
Nice.
And then one day he's in France, and he duels a guy, and he stabs the guy to death behind a church.
Yikes.
Because I don't know, if you're dueling behind a church, seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hell of a way to go.
Yeah. I mean, though the grave, there's probably, you just fall right into an open grave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go back behind. Let's take it back behind the church.
Yeah.
Let's go back behind the church. Stab us.
Stab ourselves to death.
Some fencers.
Now, dueling in Paris is illegal. It's against the law.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so you can get arrested for that. And so,
Not if you're dead. Fuck you, the man. L'homme. Screw l'homme, man.
Who's gonna tell on me, that dead dude over there? Why don't you suck my dick?
Send him a dog.
I'm gonna go into this shop and beat the fuck out of the keeper.
now,
Do something.
Sarin was the man who did the dueling. But remember from the nun episode.
None on the run.
Christina Durasso.
Yes, Durasso
the
episode.
Lieutenant Nun.
Right. Often in duels, you would bring a friend, so someone could watch you die. Or they would jump in before you died. But
That's a whole fucking
Right,
thing,
right.
man. Yeah, that was we talked about it in that episode, but
Yeah.
little unfair.
Well,
Not much of
not
it.
if you both bring a friend.
that sounds fun.
You both. You
No,
both
no, you would, but then they would both intervene.
Well, then it's a duel.
It's not a duel.
It's exactly what it is, John. It's a duel.
It's a duel, but then you want to bring another fucking friend, and now what do you got?
Well, no, that's not a duel. That's a fivesome.
6.
My new
Six
favorite
people.
subreddit
It's a
is
Rocco
Public
initiate.
Freakout.
Yeah.
Have you seen Public Freakout on Reddit?
No.
Oh man, there's a lot of fights on it. It's a lot of people freaking out in
My
Walmart.
new favorite subreddit
Oh,
is
man.
people fighting
It's
in
called
Walmart.
sorry, I just had to talk about it. It's called Public Freakout. r/Public Freakout. So many people being idiots in Waffle Houses and Walmart. It's like White People World
Is
Star.
there a timestamp where it's like what time in the morning it is? Or it's like 3 in the morning? every
It's
fucking-
always at 3 in the morning.
But are they having duels? Why is this
no,
coming
Well,
up?
because there's a lot of like
just
high
public.
school kids fighting each other on concrete basketball courts, and then like their homies like, no, let him finish, let him finish, and that's why you bring a homie to the fight,
Right, sometimes
so
you
that
gotta
the
let 'em
other homie
finish,
doesn't
yeah.
jump in.
True.
Yeah.
That's a
You
good
gotta
point.
have your cornermen keeping it real.
Yeah.
Mr. Fresh.
That's
Mr.
why it's a
Fresh.
duel, John.
All
You
right.
gotta have a duel because you gotta keep it honest. You gotta make it a good, clean
There's
fight.
no T in that.
You did a full honest.
As honest. You gotta keep it honest, and you gotta make it a good, clean duel. And you do that by making it a duel.
All right.
Okay.
Matthew?
So they go to Marseille. They flee to Marseille. They're chased.
Beautiful.
They get their.
I've been to Marseille.
Of course you have.
I told you. I told
course
you
you
tonight
have.
that I've been there.
No,
You
I
didn't tell
know.
us tonight.
I know.
Well, it's right by Nice. It's right by Nice.
Beautiful.
It's very beautiful.
Of course.
It's the south of France. It's le
Yeah.
sud de France.
No, yeah, also,
They go as far.
It
yeah.
also kind of reminds me of Colorado, the Sunshine State. Gorgeous. You know that?
It's the fin du monde.
Oh, Le Fin du Monde.
It's le fin du monde, the end of the world.
Yeah,
and
it's got you feeling good.
No, solid
You know,
place.
I've had a fucking hell of a day, John.
Solid city, solid beer.
And,
Gorgeous.
and I've got a solid stiffy
Hell yeah.
over Marseille.
Dude, you got a fucking pink dog chubby
Dude,
over
I got
Marseille.
a red lipstick, Christmas tree light popping out of my Levi's right
Hell
now.
yeah.
And I'm fucking feeling the Marseille, and I want you to say more.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you.
As a fun, just a small anecdote, they're chased by Nicolas Gabriel de la Reynie, the first modern policeman.
Ah!
He's the one who solves the.
He started beating black guys before anybody.
Yeah, I started planting evidence.
Yeah, sprinkling crack on guys before it even existed.
France had this whole poison hysteria where one of the king's mistresses was discovered to have been talking with some crazy black magic lady.
Ah.
You know, where they would pretend to kill a baby over a.
Good God.
You know, just performing black magic.
Like a voodoo doll?
No.
Like a voodoo child?
Like it's supposed to seem like they're killing a real baby over an altar in order for your wish to come true.
Oh, you have to fake sacrifice.
But no,
a baby?
but like odds are a lot of them. I don't. This is just coming out of my ass, but I assume a lot of them were like babies that had just died recently, as opposed to just stealing any baby.
Yeah, they were like stillborn.
Yeah.
They stole a stillborn.
That's probably easier to get than just stealing a baby. I feel like.
Dead babies don't tell tales.
No.
It's just.
You just take
that's
them.
another thing.
Nobody wants
another
them.
thing for the headstone.
Babies don't tell tales. Yeah, I got that tattoo with a pirate skull on my chest.
Yeah.
I'm a suicide girl.
Yeah.
So I go to Marseille because that guy Sarin, he said there's plenty of work there for me, and it turns out there's no work. So she and Sarin, they decide to, in order to make money, they put on dueling exhibitions, and they start singing. And so what they do is they host a dueling expedition. They bring all the people out. They start singing some songs. The crowd gets a little rowdy.
Hell yeah.
Then they challenge some people to a fight, and they defeat them. And you know, it's just like it's an exhibition of sorts. There's no like real stabbing.
So it's like Andy Kaufman challenging any woman.
Right.
I'll wrestle any woman.
But they were actually good at dueling. Right. So
Andy Kaufman, horrible.
So they wouldn't kill anybody. It was just kind of like a flex.
Right, and here's a what she's at this point she's like 17-year-old girl who's singing songs, making fun of people in the crowd and challenging them to a duel, and they're like, yeah, I could take this fucking girl. Wow. Even she's wearing men's clothing, but it's pretty obvious. And to the point where it should be more obvious, but during one of these exhibitions, someone in the crowd challenges her that she's not actually a girl, and so she rips her shirt open and says, "This is all the proof you need."
And she had those big old French titties.
And
what does that mean? I mean,
according to one biographer, quote, "It is said the receipts that evening were particularly good."
Yeah.
Because she had nice titties.
Hey!
John, she had nice
Oh, she's
Oh,
yeah.
You're not a girl or a dude. You're a voluptuous, gorgeous woman.
Yeah, that's my trick. Is I go up to every girl I see and go, "Hey, you're no girl," and then they go, "Yeah. Well, what are these?" And then I go, "Ha,
Got him.
nice."
Yeah.
If it works,
Like
it
the
works.
motion picture, just one of the guys in the 1980s, featuring, I have no idea who played that girl. But do you remember that movie?
No. I remember you talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of
not
those.
necessarily a fun movie.
No. But she does.
Become one of the guys.
She does. Yeah. She does become one of the guys.
Yeah, she gets a real tight dick. What happened next?
I'm sorry.
No, but I just want to know what happens next.
So
she's in Marseille. She's singing a lot and dueling, but she also, she really likes singing, and so she auditions for.
She really likes singing and shooting people, or stabbing people.
But she really likes singing, and she has people tell her that she has a great voice. So in Marseille, they had recently opened up a music academy, and the opera was just beginning. And this is what, like late 1680s.
Okay.
Oh, nice. The 80s are tight.
Yeah. And so she auditions.
So much blow.
Oh.
She had no musical training, but she had a beautiful voice and a photographic memory.
Oh.
So she's perfect, for some part of the opera. And so she gets accepted to the academy. She makes the opera. She starts working at the opera, and she becomes a professional singer in the Opera de Marseille. And then at that point, she's known as Mademoiselle d'Aubigny, and then much later, she'd be known in the opera as La Maupin.
La Maupin?
Right.
What does that mean?
That's just her last name.
Oh, right. It's her married.
Her actual married husband.
To the clerk.
Her legal name.
To the clerk, tax collector, now tax collector.
Clerks, too.
Yeah. So now she's 16 or 17. She gets tired of that dueling man, Sarin, and she decides that she's like, I'm done with men.
Nice.
And so, having dressed as a boy and
Dogs
spent
next.
Yeah, are these incels upset at lesbians?
Well,
I don't
dogs don't talk so much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So she says she's dressed as a boy for most of her life, and and she decides when she's doing these dueling expeditions, she's getting attention from women. When she's at the opera, she's getting attention from women. So she decides,
She's a hot ass dude.
I'll start dating some women, And
she's a drag king. Did you know that's a thing?
I did.
Yeah.
Drag king.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. She's got all the.
So she starts dating women. I'm sorry. I just wanted to.
No. That's why we do this. In Marseille, she meets this blonde girl, very young. And they basically go to town on each other, right?
Not a golden retriever. A blonde
We're right,
girl.
a blonde girl, human.
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 3 humans.
Three humans. Three vodka Bud Lights, please.
Human party of 3.
Now, this blonde girl's parents, they don't
Cooking
approve.
with gas now, man.
This blonde girl's parents, they don't approve of this scandalous
no.
relationship, so they send the girl to a convent, right?
Oh.
Now, Julie, she says, that's not gonna stop me, man.
Yeah.
I made it all the way to Marseille.
I love
What,
Julie.
Yeah.
Marseille is south.
Let
you
me
know?
tell you something about nuns. They're the most stabbable people on earth.
And they're all chicks. I love them. Oh, man, you're going to send me to a place with nothing but virgins? Jesus Christ.
I think I'm going to like the convent.
I thought you said this place had a pool.
So she enters the convent as a novitiate, a novice, a novice.
A novidiate?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's the term for like a novice
A
nun.
novidiate?
Yes.
Oh, dude.
I know. But my dad wished he knew that word to call me it
Yeah.
every day.
You novidiate?
And
You
it's
go
probably
to Blockbuster all the time, spending my money to go get a Police Academy 3. You novidiate.
it might be novitiate, but
It
I
is
stick with it.
novitiate, but novidiate is so much better.
Better. Yeah.
So while she's there, she's not there long, and then an old nun dies. So what she does is she digs up the nun's corpse,
Oh.
and she puts it in the bed of the girl she's in love with, and then sets fire to the room, and her and the girl flee because they figure perfect cover.
Yeah.
Skeletons on fire, they'll never catch us.
Oh, yeah.
That's like
Right.
Melrose Place shit.
Yeah, it's not. She's 17. This isn't.
It's how,
It's brilliant
it's
for
how,
that.
It's
Yes.
how they get out of prison in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Martin
Yep.
Lawrence
Look at
and
these
Eddie
dead
Murphy.
Look at these dead skeletons.
They're right
Yeah.
there. Come on.
Yeah, and the guy from The Rock. That's how he did it, right?
Yeah. Oh, he was.
Why you gotta be so nasty all the time, you novidiate?
Because I'm a nasty motherfucker.
So they're gone they're on the run for 3 months before that blonde girl returns
Now they're nuns
home.
on the run.
They're nuns on the run, and that's
They're dueling nuns on the run? Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, it just keeps getting deeper.
Beggars belief.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Matthew. That's
Hold on. Now, just a second. Now, you saying they're dueling nuns on the run? And they must be thinking to themselves, man, we got ourselves in a zany caper this time.
Yeah, I mean, such a predicament. It really is beyond belief. You and I, both against the odds together. Me pulling my voluptuous titties out. You with, your burns.
Right, it was very Woody Guthrie.
So sorry.
Yeah.
You freezing to death because you burnt.
Yeah. You must be colder than a motherfucker. You all crisped up.
You all crispy.
You burn all cold.
You so hot, you cold, baby.
So they were gone they were on the run for 3 months before the blonde girl shows back home. Very embarrassed, of course. And when this
Oh,
happens,
it's super embarrassing.
Yeah.
You faked your own death.
yeah.
Hi.
She goes home after that?
Well, where are you gonna go, John? Where are you gonna go?
I don't know, Marseille.
You gotta go anywhere else.
We can't all
where people
be.
don't know you.
We can't all be Julie
I don't know.
Bonnet.
Go start a band. go see
Right.
your Mozart.
Yeah, go straight.
Oh yeah, no.
Hi, we're Mozart.
So when the blonde girl returns back to Marseille and her parents, the local tribunal in Marseille, they try Julie for corpse robbing and fire and
Skullduggery.
yes, and they find her guilty and they sentence her to death by fire, but they give that to Sieur d'Aubigny.
Daubigny?
And so they give it to Mr. Daubeny.
The dude? The clerk?
Well.
Women aren't allowed in court, bro.
I got this from Ildekar. There's a bunch of different. There's like a lot of half things. The LA Public Library has a very good biography, a blog of her. But there's this one Ildekar that actually gave all of their sources and is very helpful. And he points out that odds are, depending on the sources and depending on the time, likely they said Sir Daubeny so the family wouldn't be ashamed by having a lesbian daughter.
Well, she did dress like a man.
Right.
So maybe they were being very progressive at the
Yes,
time and
yes.
using the
by
correct
sentencing her
gender.
to death.
Well, but they, you know what? You want to live like a man, we're going to treat you like one. Toots.
Yes, death was a lethal
We're going to use
injection
the correct
back then.
pronouns and sentencing rules.
Yeah.
If you just wanted to act like a lady, we wouldn't be able to kill you.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, if you didn't
It's
have
very progressively regressive.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I like that. Call me old-fashioned.
I like that.
Call me
He
old-fashioned.
likes it. John.
Call me new old-fashioned.
Yeah. Hey.
John, he likes it.
Shout out to New Old Fashions. It's a great drink by my roommate Nick.
Oh, yeah.
He makes a great
New Old Fashioned?
Yeah, he makes a New Old Fashioned.
And what does he put? Monster Energy?
It's not Coke. No, it's for real. Nick Shapiro makes a great drink. It's called a New Old Fashioned. It's, you know what? Post it on Instagram.
All right, nice.
We'll have him on a Patreon. We can all drink it while he makes it.
But I do think that's very interesting, that theory.
Yes.
That whether or not it's the embarrassment issue, but the fact, she dressed like a man and partook in quote unquote male activities.
Right. But clearly it seems like from the readings that the daughter was sent to the convent because she was dating a woman.
Right. Yeah.
And so for them to then say this man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think they just wanted to kill somebody.
Well, fire's
oftentimes that's
fun.
usually the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a slow week in
Any
Marseille.
excuse we have to kill somebody. We'll
So-
be progressive if we have
Yeah,
to.
we'll be progressive. Yeah. So then she flees. She leaves Marseille, right? And she ends up in Orleans. I guess she's like, maybe I have to get back to Paris. I don't know where, but she goes
They have a
north.
house there.
Yes.
Yeah.
called the
Old
Rising-
Orleans.
It's called
Yes.
the Rising Sun.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And she starts making money by singing in taverns. And then she goes to Poitiers, where she meets an old drunk named Marechal.
No, that guy parties big time.
Uh-huh. And he was an expert in singing, or he's just a very good singer or something. But he was also a total drunk. And so she talks that he taught her about singing, but eventually he got so drunk that there was no lessons anymore. He was just too drunk.
Yeah.
And she said what she learned from him was a kind of a revelation about the idea of singing. She's fucking 17, 18, or 15, right?
Yeah.
And so he gets too drunk, so he's like, you gotta get out. I'm so drunk. You just keep going. Keep going north.
Party's
I'm so
over.
drunk you have to get out of here.
Yeah. Which is, very admirable.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What?
yeah.
I'm too drunk to teach you how to sing.
I'm too drunk to be around you. Just get the fuck out of here.
I don't know if you're a boy or a girl, and at
can't
this
do
point it
that.
doesn't matter.
I can't
I'm
even
too
teach
drunk.
you stuff.
Yeah.
So then she moves on to Villeperdue, and there she's in a tavern one day, and there's two different versions of this story, but the version I kind of like better. I'll kind of mix them up a little bit.
Yeah.
She had just finished singing, and she was walking home when one of the men from the tavern catcalled her.
Uh-oh.
And she said, no dice.
No thanks. I'm actually a dude.
I'm
Yeah.
more of a dog pillar.
And so she pulls out a
cat caller?
That's
That's very good, Aaron.
Hey, hi, I'm Aaron. That's what I do.
You know, the funny thing about the Matrix is you have to call to get out of it. And you usually have to call a cat.
Why, oh, why didn't I take the dog pill?
I actually answered the cat call.
You know, because Neo sees the cat walk by and he says, whoa, deja
Deja
vu, and then
vu.
they freak the fuck out, man. It's great.
And Neo's fucking the dog, and
Yeah.
he's like, this is all right.
Because the cat was actually calling him.
Whoa.
Because he's a hot ass dude
Yeah.
with a tight dick.
Oh, he knows kung fu.
Yeah.
So the cat calling is one story. The other story is that she's at this tavern, and this guy sits at her table, and she's drinking, and they start arguing, and they started like a whole night arguing, and then she gets up to leave, and he grabs her shirt and rips her shirt. Right?
Oh.
Either way, whatever.
And
But
rips her bosoms fall
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Exposing her delicious.
so so anyway, she pulls out a rapier. And she says she's like, I'm gonna duel you guys. And so it's this man, but it's also this man with 2 friends.
Yikes.
And she says, I'm gonna duel all of you.
all of you.
All of you.
I'm gonna duel all you guys.
Duel all of us?
All of us, yes.
Duel us?
Dueling?
Yeah. She any good? What am I asking you for? You probably showed her how. I hope you guys like that. We sure do.
So she's dueling these guys, right? And so she holds off the 2 friends, and then the main guy, this man named D'Albert, he eventually becomes like a French minor prince of sorts and a military guy, blah, blah, blah. But she starts dueling with him, and he's the guy who catcalled her, and she fights him off, and she beats him, and then she sticks her sword through his shoulder to the point where it's 6 inches through his shoulder, and then pins him to the wall with it.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
he has to turn around
Stick around.
and look. Yes.
That's some RoboCop shit, right? Or T-1000 shit.
Stick around. I think it's Commando. or
Yeah,
something.
It is Commando. No. Stick around is Predator.
Yeah.
Is
One
it?
of the ones.
It's
where
one
he-
of-
yeah, yeah.
One of those two
Yeah,
with all the
yeah,
good
yeah.
lines.
Yeah.
So she sticks him and pins him to the wall to the point where she like makes him turn his head and look at the sword sticking through his body.
That's so dope.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And so then she pulls it out of him, and and then he has to heal. Like his friends, she leaves. She just goes home, and his friends drag him to a room, and then so either
And they pee on it.
Right,
It's
right.
Earl.
And one of the stories
file.
is that she's someone comes up, one of the friends comes up to her the next day and says, do you know who he is? And the other story is that she goes up to one of the friends and say, who was that guy? Either way, it turns out he's like the son of some minor royalty.
He's
and
D'Albert.
yeah, D'Albert.
D'Albert.
And so she goes the next day and she visits him, and he says that who he is, and she says who she is, and he's Louis Joseph D'Albert. And from then on, he insists that only she will be his healer, and they become lovers.
Yeah.
And they
now we're
spend the
talking.
next,
What?
few months as lovers. Yeah.
See,
No
she
way!
penetrated him,
Mhm.
and now he's like, "Oh man, she really is a guy.
dude. Yeah,
and I
yeah,
am the
dude.
woman."
It's that
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Remember that guy that told us it's life changing when you find your pussy?
Yeah. We won't say his name, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's like, "Oh man, I've showed a lot of guys their
He's
pussy."
talking
and
about guys that
Get
discovered
butt-fucked.
orgasm through anal.
anal penetration organ. The cream
And he just was like,
rises.
No man understands how good his life can be until he finds his pussy. And me and Aaron were like, whoa!
Wait a minute. Your hair blew back?
Yeah.
It's like you heard beach.
And I was like, "Whoa, there is no spoon."
Yeah,
There is only my asshole.
And I was like, holy shit, these dudes are putting out.
My life's never been the same since I found my pussy. What about you?
You find yours yet, loser?
Or you still fucking dogs?
Like a loser.
Do you think there's like gay incels, or like these gay guys are just getting
No,
fucked by
no,
dudes?
there are no
Nope,
gay
nope,
incels. Nope.
Yeah, because
100% there are.
absolutely not.
Nope.
Because you couldn't be celibate if you
If you
tried. Because gay dudes are literally like, did you say something? No. Did you want to fuck? Yeah.
Are you okay with that? Yeah. So she
So stupid.
So he gets because he's in the army and he gets sent off. He gets he gets sent off somewhere. So he has to leave. They have a tearful goodbye, and she says, "All right, I'm going to keep going back towards Paris." Right. This time she stops in Rouen, Rouen, and there she meets a very talented singer named Thévenard. Excuse me.
Fella?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's on his way up to Paris to go try out for the opera. He's a very good singer.
Serenade the ladies.
Yeah. So they become lovers, and on their way, they go to Paris. But she's not. She's worried about entering Paris because of the ruling from Marseille. As soon as someone recognized her, the police would arrest her.
Right.
For the trouble she had caused.
But she could
there.
be anybody, you know.
But so what she does is she goes up. She goes to her original old man, the Comte d'Arnac. And she says, "Can you just get this charge? Get rid of it.
Drop the charges.
Yeah,
make it disappear.
Yeah."
And so the next day he meets with the king. The king said, Louis XIV says, "Fuck it, I don't know. That sounds fun. She sounds cool."
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. What?
She got a great rack.
Oh yeah, the dude with awesome tits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do whatever he wants.
So what? Who cares?
Ask me if I give a fuck.
I'm the Sun King.
Bring in the dogs.
Is he the Sun King? I think it's the Sun King. Le chien.
Le chien. Bring in le chien. That's right. Puppies.
No,
Somebody's read dog food before.
Yeah.
Le chien means dog. Very good, man.
Thank you. Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I have to explain a lot of stuff to John.
The
He
context is
doesn't-
important.
Yeah, it was, big dog food is mainly funded by Hillary, so that's all the girls are fucking the dogs.
Yeah.
It's all feminine plot.
Veterinarians hate this guy.
One trick veterinarians hate. It's fucking the dog.
It's so stupid.
It's very stupid. I think we started recording this at 12:30 in the morning.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
It's been a hell of a day and night for us.
A bit of a time. Very exciting time.
So now she's in Paris. She wants to try for the opera. She tries out, and she initially doesn't make it in. She befriends this old singer named Bouvard, and he convinces the man running the opera to let her into the opera because she's got a great voice. She's incredibly attractive, very good actor. She's not great at singing necessarily, but she has a great voice, and that's a lot of singing is a great voice.
I would say it's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she makes her debut in the Paris Opera at age 20 or 17 in 1890. 1690. 1690.
6090.
Oh, nice one.
And so while she's there, she starts playing all of these goddesses. She's more tuned to the like tough female role than the like delicate beauty.
So more of a Diana or Artemis than an Aphrodite.
Right. She's less of a soft soprano than she sings in a slightly lower range than soprano, even for back then. And I guess I was reading about today. In modern times, the range of the opera singers is about one step above what it was about 200 years ago. So the soprano today is one step higher than it was in
interesting.
That's fucking interesting, man.
1680.
Men and women.
Men and women. I think men and women.
I think that's
Yeah.
evolution, right?
I think it's
Probably. I mean, it's
Probably,
it's probably just
the
progress.
it's probably the hormones in the chicken.
I think it's the encroachment of anxiety in our culture. We're all like,
Yeah.
everything's cool. I have a good life.
I think it's all the BPA's in our plastics, dude.
Yeah.
So she plays a lot of goddesses. She's played like tough Minerva, Athena, Queen Medea,
What I tell you, dude.
Dido.
Dido.
And then she falls in love with the lead soprano, Marthe de Rochefort. Rochefort?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that. And then she falls in love with this much older, but one of the greatest singers in France in the moment. And while she's there, there's a male actor who's a fucking just like scumbag. He's one of these guys that he's described in the biographies as a guy who will invite these fancy rich women and sleep with them and then steal their stuff. Like the reverse Cardi B, I guess.
Yeah,
would be.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly right, Matthew.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
That's
exactly
very
right.
good,
That's a
very good.
apt comparison.
And so, according to one of the stories, she's backstage with this guy, and he insults Martha Rocher, and he insults another singer.
No.
And then he insults Julie, and she says, "I won't stand for this." So after the show, she hangs out in one of the central areas of Paris, waiting for this man. She's dressed as a man. She's dressed as a man, and the actor doesn't recognize her. The guy's walking
She's
past.
a really good actor.
She walks up and she goes, "I challenge you to a duel," and he says no. So she takes her cane and just beats him. And then she steals his watch and his snuff box.
Give me that shit.
Yeah.
It's
And so-
mine. You sit down when you pee now, bitch. Give me that snuff.
So the next day he shows up for the opera and he has like 2 black eyes.
Snuffless.
Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, I got jumped by these robbers." And in that moment she goes,
You know you're a bitch, right?
So she comes out and she says, "Duminil," that was his name. "You liar and base coward. It was I alone who defeated you. You were afraid to fight, and did I give you a sound thrashing?
A sound thrash.
As proof, I return your miserable watch and snuff box."
Here you go. Here's your shitty stuff.
Yeah, and he pissed himself too.
Yeah.
You bitch.
Remember I beat you with a cane with my heaving bosom and all that shit?
Yeah.
Dan, this dude's got big tits.
My big ass titties beat the shit out of you and took your lunch money.
Yeah.
You trifling bitch.
Here's your shitty snuff box, loser.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Somebody change his pantaloons because they
Yeah.
smell like piss.
Now go sing.
Yeah, and a falsetto. You soprano ass wannabe motherfucker.
So she's in the opera. She's in the opera for a while, and everything's kind of normal. But also, she's doing a lot of cross-dressing. She's a little scandalous.
I like that.
She's maybe 25 in 1695. She's at court. A ball put on by Louis XIV.
Oh yeah.
It's good.
And she shows up dressed in cavalier clothing,
Cleveland?
which is like Three Musketeers style. type of thing.
Cavalier?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like LeBron James?
Nice.
So she's dressed up as a man, but
But the guy's dressed like chicks.
yeah,
who's to
yeah,
say?
yeah, yeah,
It's a
exactly.
fancy lad.
Yeah. I mean, so
a
according-
dandy.
maybe she was hiding her sex, maybe she wasn't hiding her sex, but she spends the whole night dancing with this beautiful young woman,
Oh.
and the crowd is getting a little gossipy, right? And as this crowd's getting gossipy, she decides in the middle of the entire dance floor, she tells the woman, "Hey, let's go here, let's meet here later," and then she makes out with her for everybody.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
And so there's these 3 young men who are like, "No, I deserve to take that woman."
Oh, the incels come out of the
Exactly.
woodwork.
fuck a dog, Nick.
Exactly.
Fuck one of these shins.
This is bullshit.
Fuck.
I got on the best pantaloons.
You know who my dad is?
Yeah.
He's Count.
Yeah, I play chess all day in my mom's basement.
We all think this is bullshit.
Fuck.
What are you gonna do? Fuck that dude with this fucking bodacious tits?
Fucking asshole.
This is whack.
No, they weren't angry at the woman. They were angry at Julie.
What are you gonna have bodacious tits and fuck our
Yes,
chicks?
Exactly.
Those
thank
are
you.
our chicks.
There should be 2 chicks we're fucking, and instead we're fucking 0, man.
Fuck.
I'm not even a dog. So she does the classic, according to one of the bios, she does the classic dueling line. She says, "At your service, gentlemen."
Nice.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah, so
I
they
didn't
pull,
know
our,
you-
so we pull our hogs out.
So then these 3 guys and her, they go out and then they duel, and she defeats all of them.
Oh,
And she stabs them all. She doesn't kill anybody, but she stabs them up and she embarrasses them. Yeah?
Dice them.
Yeah.
But dueling is still illegal in Paris.
Fuck.
Can't do it.
Nope. So this time she has to flee again. Right?
Damn.
She ends up in Brussels.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah. She ends up in Brussels. She sings for the opera there. And then she becomes the mistress of Maximilian Emmanuel, the German prince of the Holy Roman Empire, or a German prince of the
Oh
Holy
my
Roman
God.
Empire. Right.
Jesus Christ, she must have had some really bodacious ass breasts.
I mean, she's worldly, beautiful,
Yeah, and a lovely
lovely
voice.
voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, dueling. So like, that's
Yeah.
good muscle work.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, she's
it-
probably
there's a lot of
tight
positives, yeah.
toned, you know,
Stab
like
your way out of
Trinity
the
in
place.
the Matrix,
yeah.
you know,
Well,
like
she picks up a book like
aggressively
stabbing
feminine,
with a sword.
you know,
Yeah.
like masculinely feminine, like
Yeah.
a chick with dick.
Yeah, like she find my pussy for me.
yeah. Like follow your nose,
Yeah,
like
she-
Toucan Sam,
she's
right
got
up
a
my ass. Like, you know, Fruit Loops.
Oh no, I get it, bro. I've been to the tropics.
Oh, fuck! No, the GoPro has
I'm so
gone,
sorry.
bro.
I just kicked the stool that the GoPro is sitting on.
Speaking of stool, you smell like shit.
Oh, John, this is a good time to tell people to check us out.
Oh yeah, we're on YouTube.
Yeah, we're on YouTube. Hey,
Fucking-
can I go pee?
Nah, man.
Yeah, you want to take a break? We can do.
I just got to pee.
I'm sorry, dude.
Oh, that's funny.
Very funny.
I don't mind.
Hey, listen, this is why, you know, we're not live.
So dumb. This fucking episode is so dumb.
There's a lot of dumb.
There's a lot of dumb, but also it's great.
Yeah. I'm not worried in any way. I figured it'd be like at some point. You got much longer, right? No. Aaron, you want another pee-pee?
That really kicks it up a notch, you know. Thank you for the fin de monde. It really turned my night around. I gotta thank you for that.
Oh,
Isn't that special
absolutely.
treat, Aaron?
You don't know how bad I need it.
Yeah.
Of course.
When was the last time you guys changed an adult diaper?
You mean when was the last time I had a boner?
That's being recorded. Wonderful.
Okay, so
hold on. Give it a
Hello.
Give it a second.
you got clap and shit.
Oh God in heaven.
All right, so I kicked over the camera laughing at a joke.
Yeah, it was really funny.
It was really dumb. And now we're back. So, by the way, if you don't watch us on YouTube already, you can actually see our dumbass faces doing this show. Hi. And
thanks, Laura, for
thank you, Laura, for taking care of that. For
yes.
us.
Danke.
And also, she's doing other really cool video work for us too.
Yes.
Yes.
Animated things. It's really dope.
Yeah. Check it and try it out. Okay, so she goes to Brussels, right?
Oh.
She goes to Brussels where she sings the opera there. She becomes the mistress of one of the German princes of the Holy Roman Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day he sees her at the opera and she's playing a character who is supposed to get stabbed themselves with a knife, and she decides to actually do it on stage.
Gangster.
Wow.
And she stabs herself for real on stage, and this prince is like, I don't know.
Huh.
I can always find other mistresses.
Well, what's wrong? I mean, I think that's just like, why would that be such a turnoff? I don't know.
Well, you know, I think guys back then weren't. Well, as
What is
dope.
that knife fucking you now?
Yeah. Wait, was that knife a dog?
Knife sell?
See, guys like us, you know, we
Yeah.
like the crazy ones, right? You know,
Probably.
oh man, she's a cutter. Hell yeah. But back then,
Yeah, just paint us all with that brush.
Well, great.
am I speaking mainly for myself?
Yeah.
It was
Fair
a
enough.
royal we
Yeah,
had
fair
there,
enough,
yeah.
then.
But I
I
mean,
guess-
it is an ambitious artistic choice.
Yes, I mean she
Yes.
didn't hurt herself other than some light bleeding all over the
Yeah,
stage.
and also she's probably,
Women are used to that. Am I right?
but she's also probably,
Shouldn't have offered you that
she's
over
also
here.
probably really thinking, yeah, if I can stab so many people, I want to try it out. You
Yeah.
know?
See
like,
what I've
True, yeah.
see what all the hype is about.
What have been missing?
What all these
I'm
people
an
crying?
auteur.
What all these
Yeah.
people crying about?
Yeah.
What's the big whoop?
I'm an auteur. I'm not an actor. And so he says, this Maximilian Emanuel, he says, no, not anymore. So he decides, he gets another mistress, and he's like, okay, in order to get rid of her, he decides to pay her off. So in order to pay her off, he takes 40,000 francs,
Oh.
which is a shit ton of money,
So many guys.
and he gives it to the husband of his new mistress, and tells that guy to deliver it to her.
Yikes. Yeah.
What?
So it's a French cuck,
Belgian.
Belgian cuck
Brussels?
with
Belgian?
yeah,
Yeah,
it is,
good,
yeah. And
Yeah, yes. Brussels is in Belgium.
Thank you.
Good.
And
That's
he-
exactly right. That's
and
exactly right.
he's all cucked up. He's got
Yeah.
40 grand, and he's bringing it to the hottest dude in the
Julie
world.
Daubigny,
He's got
yes.
40 large franc. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Right.
And so she takes it and she says, no. She throws it in that guy's face and she says,
So many.
This
Fucking cuck loser.
that's what she says. She says, this is a present worthy of a cuck like you.
You're shitting me.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
You fucking cuck.
What are you doing, errands now?
Yeah, cuck.
For the guy that's fucking your wife, you cuck loser? I'm more of a man than you
Yeah,
are.
exactly. Have you seen my
Yeah.
Oh my
This is-
god.
yeah.
That is incredible.
That is fucking amazing.
worthy of a cuck like you? What was it?
Yeah, she says, this is a present worthy of a cuck like you.
Yeah.
Present worthy of a cuck. I'm
This is
calling
a
I'm
present.
calling my tattoo artist.
This is a present worthy of a cuck like you. Like,
worthy of a
you
cuck
know,
like you.
I bet a cuck like you would love 40 grand.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
Go
cuck.
enjoy.
This is the price of your cuck.
This is an episode worthy of a cuck like you.
Yeah.
Isn't that worthy?
Doesn't it have a nice ring to it?
Doesn't it have some sort of je ne sais quoi?
Yeah.
It's really
The fantastical
Worthy of a
fantasy.
quote.
the rhythmic
Being
kinda-
cucked in such a French fashion. They do think they speak French in Belgium.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I'm
absolutely
saying?
right.
They-
Yeah, well, the north is sort of Dutch.
They sort of the muscles from Brussels.
Yeah, but
Jean-Claude Van Damme. good. That's right.
So then she runs off to Madrid, right? And while she's in Madrid, she becomes a maid to Countess Marino. But she hates this woman so much that one night before a ball, she weaves radishes into the Countess's hair.
What?
So in like the back of the Countess's hair, she weaves radishes. So
Full
everybody at the
radishes?
ball is like, this woman's crazy.
She's got rutabagas in her
yeah.
hair.
She's also dead asleep. She has several radishes in her head of hair.
She gave her a weave of tubers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Root vegetables?
But that is hella embarrassing.
I
That
would
would've been
not.
for her, yeah.
I would not want radishes in my hair.
Yeah. What are you the Countess of? My groceries?
Uh-oh! Excuse me, Madame Lassens. Excuse me while I go talk to my good friend Ralph.
Monsieur John is over here.
Lassens and Ralph's are
They're,
California
grocery
grocery
chains.
Yeah, Big Y too. Stop and Shop. Stop and Shop's the good one. That's the
Shout
East
out
Coast
to
one. Shout out to
Lassens,
Stop and Shop.
sponsor of the show for fine organic produce.
Big
run
Y's
by Mormon.
anti-union. Stop and Shop is pro-union. Okay. Anyway, So she, after the Madrid thing, she goes back to Paris, and this time she again has to be pardoned. So she appeals to the Sun King's gay brother.
Now, what is she being pardoned for this time?
The dueling again.
The dueling again.
It's illegal.
Yeah, and she's like, what, are we still talking about that?
Fuck, I fucked
Yeah.
so many men and women since then.
Yeah, I was part of the Holy Roman Empire for a minute. Just shut up. Sometimes I stab people. Or myself.
Now, so the Sun King has a gay brother, which might be worth a promo, but his name is just Monsieur.
Ah, the monsieur.
But that was also the title. Before it became like usable by the plebes. It was just
the great unwashed like us?
Yes, it was the title of just like the
Eyes wide shut party guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's something like the guy who wasn't the king in the brother who wasn't a king. He was the monsieur. You know.
Ah, interesting.
Ah,
Okay.
you
it
know,
was
like the
it
oldest
was a
one.
royal title.
Yeah.
Before it was
Right.
a title that
A
people like us could use.
lord-like title?
Yeah. Yes.
Mm.
So the Sun King, the Louis XIV, his brother was just basically known as Monsieur, and he convinced the king to pardon her. She rejoins the opera, and then Martha La Rochois. I should do better. She retires, so now Julie is now getting some of these leading roles.
Hey.
And she from 1698 to 1705, she's in the peak of her opera work.
And what is she, like 24 here?
She's she's 28 to 35.
Cruising into the 30s.
Let's call her 28.
She appears in over 24 different productions and originates 25 roles. And there are many roles that are written just for her.
That's incredible.
Wow.
There's
She's somebody important, like an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This famous opera writer Andre Campra, he writes this opera Tancredi for her, and it's the first opera in Paris in which the female lead is not a soprano, and it's written just for her.
Nice.
And then she and her old lover Thévenard, they start fooling around again.
Yeah.
They have a very tumultuous relationship to the point where when she's on stage, one night she's very upset with him, and her character is supposed to nibble on the actor's ear, and instead she bites it to the point where it
That's
bleeds
exactly
all over
right.
the stage.
I agree. That's exactly right. I'm familiar with mastication of the earlobe. That's exactly right. I've been a big student of earlobe mastication.
That's why I knew it was a real spectacle, because I bit that motherfucking ear.
You know, I bit that real deal Holyfield earlobe off, and I knew that it was almost some sort of like a tribute, and
Kind of an homage.
an homage to
La Maupin.
to the La Maupin. I don't let it go over a lot of your heads, but I was fancy myself a student of the opera, so you know, I did it in quite a ferocious fashion, and
Also a French one.
a Francois fashion, and I know that most of you plebeians, the great unwashed, don't necessarily appreciate it, but I do myself, and I hope that one day all of you. That's exactly right.
You ever fuck with culture, Joe?
If you just joined us here on Point Files, it's 1:52 in the AM on a Tuesday night. And we're talking about ferocious fashion.
It's coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Very good.
This is coming out in less than 8 hours.
It's coming in hot.
8 hours?
No.
10
I'll
hours?
put it out at noon. We'll see.
So it's coming out in 10 hours.
Yeah,
High noon. We'll see y'all there.
This is the most live-ass
Yeah,
episode
this
we've
is
ever
pretty
done.
much.
Yeah.
So, suck our cocks.
Suck our cocks.
Suck our
All you guys.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, you probably showed him how.
I did show all of you how.
Oh, didn't you find my pussy for me too?
I did. That's exactly right, John.
Didn't you say, motherfucker, found my pussy for me?
The day I found that disgusting swine of a man, John's pussy, was the most heinous day of my life.
He said, no upkeep on his pussy at all.
It was the most heinous man pussy I've ever seen in my life. It was heinous.
But I attacked it in a ferocious fashion.
Unstoppable, feral.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So she's lead roles, parts written for her.
Right. Now she's doing well. She actually calls her husband back
What, on the phone?
from the provinces. She probably wrote him a letter, I assume.
Yeah. Took a while. These fucking animals didn't even know there was ZZ Top doing their
No,
bits.
you used to have to catcall people.
Yeah. Meow. Meow.
Woof, woof. So he comes back. They start living together. It seems kinda-
Catcalling is different than dog whistling.
Yes,
Because,
absolutely.
speed of sound.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry.
They resume their marriage. Then he dies shortly after. Doesn't stop her. She then falls in love with the other leading woman in the opera, Fanchon Moreau.
Hell yeah.
Moreau does not return her love. Julie attempts suicide.
No.
Doesn't take.
She attempts suicide and the suicide doesn't take.
Yeah. it doesn't, no.
Well, that's actually true about women. More women attempt suicide, more men are successful at it.
Is that about right?
That is
That's
100%
a weird humble brag.
bro science.
Yeah.
Yeah, the incel forums all over that one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wish more of them were successful.
These chicks can't even kill themselves.
They got a fucked dogs. What a put down, huh?
So after this attempted suicide, she then falls in love with Madame la Marquise de la Forensac.
Huh?
And she was a woman who was one of the French. I might have been the song. I can't remember one of the French kings was Le Dauphin.
La Dauphin. That was Joan of Arc. Was
A Dauphin. A dolphin.
subservient to La Dauphin.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
So this woman was so obsessed over. She was known as the most beautiful woman in France. So obsessed over by Le Dauphin that she had to flee the country for like 3 years.
Because he wanted her so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a
When,
maniac.
when you're so hot, you got to get out of there.
So
It's getting hot in here.
Julie Dombini, she falls in love with this woman. This woman then also reciprocates.
Nice.
And they spend-
Recip.
They spend 2 years in quote unquote harmony.
Now, is that a province of Marseille?
And
Harmony.
it's a wonderful time. And then the Florensac, she dies of fever,
Shit.
as you do. This is now, it's around 1705.
Oh,
because
Jesus.
of this, the tragedy of it, Julie quits the opera. I don't know if because of it, but she quits the opera. She
Yeah.
goes to live into a convent, and then at age
Not again.
33 or 30, she dies of natural causes, or not natural causes,
What?
unknown causes. Those are very
Okay,
unnatural.
all right,
Yeah.
Unknown.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Unknown causes, and she was either buried in an unmarked grave, or as one biographer wrote, she was destroyed by an inclination to do evil in the sight of her God, and a fixed intention not to. Her body was cast upon the rubbish heap. Which,
Cast upon the rubbish.
yeah, I
heap.
think this is, I forget which biographer, but I think this was
somebody
written,
from Fox News.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just gonna,
no, I think it was written in like 1832 or something, and he was just kind of a
say
dick.
Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, it's totally maybe the most.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she disappeared, or she was cast upon the rubbish heap with
Yeah.
the rest of
Yeah.
Right.
the fucking sinners.
Might have died in an inferno of fucking people that do fucked up shit that's not holy. I don't know.
But she also, she did some writing on her own, and this is the quote that I think is more appropriate. This is something she wrote. She wrote, "I am made for perils as well as tenderness."
Ooh, how about a little
Mm.
tenderness?
I like the soft.
You know, I like my woman to be a little bit perilous,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of tenderness.
I like the trouble too, though.
Isn't that nice?
I like the trouble and the soft.
I like a little sweet, my sour. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I like a little sugar, my spice. Even though everything's nice.
Yeah.
Isn't that right, John?
I like to penetrate men, find their pussies for them. But I also stab myself.
I like a little duel with my duel. Huh?
Man, that's really good stuff.
Yeah.
Isn't
man.
that nice? Thank you to
Zabiria.
Zabiria.
Zabiria, yes,
Hope I'm
she's
pronouncing
sharing
that correctly.
that. Great story.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really crazy twists.
In that, I love twists.
Fun.
I love,
Surprising.
I love both you guys.
Yeah, I love you too.
Don't be weird.
No, it's normal. It's
it?
regular.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good,
Super
great.
cool.
I'm compensating. I love everybody who's listening to this, and thank you for putting up with us at 1:59 in the a.m. on
Perspective.
technically the day this episode comes out.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a wild and wonderful ride thus far today in general, and life as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this you working your way out?
Dude, I
can't tell.
honestly at this point I don't know.
You sound like the captain of the Titanic.
Yeah.
You're like,
It's
honestly,
2:54 in the a.m. and the
it's-
ship is sinking.
the band's still playing.
You know, because of the salt content of water, it doesn't freeze until
know.
it gets to 28 degrees.
Life has been funny, you know.
I
And the
gotta go
band-
down.
The band will continue to play as
Yeah.
Jack dies here next to you.
Some people are jumping off the end, thinking like they're gonna survive.
But what they don't know is that the wake of the ship will drag them down to.
Is anybody listening?
How do I know that chicken isn't tuna fish?
Perspectives.
Woman in the red dress.
Yeah.
I want to thank both of you.
I want to thank you, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you.
I meant both of our listeners.
Oh yeah, the ones that are still hanging in there.
Yeah, the ones that are here at
Yeah.
minute
Well,
98.
it's us. It's
Yeah.
John.
Oh, you two.
It is. Actually, really thank you to all the listeners. People have been sending us really nice comments on Patreon too.
The past like 3, 4, or 5 weeks
It's been so cool.
has been really great.
man.
We've had a lot of interaction from you guys, and we encourage it. And if you ever, if you fucking
Need a place to
get
stay,
Yeah,
some money.
out of jail, homeless, a thug, beat on us, piss on us, try it out.
Definitely.
No, if the spirit moves you, if you're on Instagram and you see, or you're on the internet and you see something that you think we're like, send it to us.
We
please.
always like it. We always love it.
We may not respond right away. We may not respond at all, but
Yeah, but we'll definitely tell each other.
oh, we're gonna fucking blow our loads all over it.
Yeah.
So, and if you want to make a cool video of you drinking piss,
Do it.
do it.
Yeah.
Highly encouraged.
Yeah.
And we will watch it. We will share it. We will
Yeah,
talk
we'll
about
sell
it
it.
on the
We'll
show.
sell it.
We'll profit on it.
Piss on it.
Yeah.
We'll piss on it.
Piss
Sell
on
the
the
video of
video.
us pissing on your piss. It's been a wild and wonderful ride thus far, and it's
Just say I love you.
it's
to
my
them.
favorite
Just say
thing.
I
It's
love
my
you.
favorite thing to do.
It is, right? It's my
Yeah.
favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
We love you guys. We're going to say goodnight. My name is John Fahey.
My name is Aaron Pita.
Matt Brousseau.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.